Hello, and welcome back to our Home Sweet Healthy Homes podcast. Happy New Year and happy 2025. We have an exciting podcast for this first episode of the new year. I am super excited to have Rasika Kale and Philip Chong here from Quincy Asian Resources. Welcome. How are you guys?
We're great. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to yourself as well. I'm super excited to have you guys here, not only to hear all about what Corey does, but also I believe you guys have a big event coming up, not in January, but in February, the Lunar New Year celebration. Before we get into talking a little bit about that, I want to hear how your New Year's going, happy holidays, all that kind of stuff.
It's been great. I mean, I'll let Philip go first if he wants to, but I had a fantastic holiday season. One of my first winter up here in the Boston, Quincy area, which was lovely. I'm fully enjoying getting to see some of my first snow.
Ooh, welcome. We're happy to have you here.
My holidays was great, spending time with the family. We also had the opportunity to go to the new restaurant in Quincy, the Mason. It was fantastic. It's beautiful. Have you been inside?
So I was there once. I stopped in with my mom on a random day, and we were like, let's just check it out. And we had some of their desserts. We didn't have any of the real meals because a little after dinner, but we had their dessert, and it was not only gorgeous, but it tasted delicious as well. I don't know if when you were there, you tried a little bit of their dessert.
We did. The food was amazing. The service was great.
Yeah.
I loved the historical of the building. And I find that it's very New York vibes. I don't see that in anywhere, even in Boston. So I'm very proud of Quincy to bring New York into the city. So proud. Such a pride.
I'm getting hungry just listening to you guys.
Yes.
I know. You'll have to make your way by there, too.
I really will.
Yeah. No. While we were there, my mom was like, I can't believe we're in Quincy. You have a little bit of everything that you could want.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Everyone should go check it out. If you're listening to this, whether it's lunchtime, dinner time, you should definitely go check out Mason's down in Quincy Center.
Yes.
You have some glowing reviews here.
We're not sponsored, we're just fans.
Yes.
So, can you tell us a little bit about Corey and its role within the community here in Quincy?
Sure, I can start first. So I'm the executive director at Quincy Asian Resources. We call ourselves Corey with the acronym QARI. Corey is such an amazing organization, nonprofit serving immigrants. We've been in the community over the last 2 decades. The agency was formally formed right after September 11 in 2001. But before that, with many great community leaders and current legislators, supporters, they all gathered together in the late 90s. And they have the same task. They ask themselves, with the growing Asian population, what their needs are. So they met many times. I believe that, from reading all the minutes, all the documentation, they met over like 30-50 times across a few years. And what they learned was a lot of newcomers, especially immigrants, came to Quincy at a time that with language and cultural barriers, they need a lot of navigation support, lots of information referral support. So that was the idea in terms of how they started with Corey in the early on. And the agency has evolved for the first 15 years from 2001 to focus on information referral services, the festival that you just spoke about, adult education, learning English, become U.S. citizens. We also do a lot of youth services in the partnership with Quincy Public Schools. And then I have the honor joining Corey for the last 8 years. So the agency has grown to different communities. But no matter what, Quincy is always our home, and we have all the people that we know, we serve, we grew up with, and it feels good. It's aligned with the name of your show. This is, how a serendipity. So we always call Quincy home no matter where we go, so.
Yeah. And wow, I didn't realize that Corey offered that many services to immigrants coming into the United States. English language classes, as well as just helping you to become a citizen here. I was just unaware of, I guess, how much you guys offered. So with all that information in mind, what are some of your key values? What are some key values that guide Corey's work?
Sure. I definitely can answer, but I want to have Resica to chime in because Resica been with us. Resica, how long you been with Corey?
1.5 years now, and it's
Okay.
been a very eventful and very exciting 1.5 years.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It really does.
So Resica is very talented, just well educated, and also have a great heart. But why you chose Corey?
Well, I mean, not to link it back straight to the the core values, but kind of from the very first conversations that I had with Corey staff and kind of starting work and getting to see the community, getting to see our programs in action, it was incredibly clear to me that there's a lot of heart and a lot of care that goes into the work that we do, and there's
Of course.
a very clear kind of passion for helping people improve their lives and supporting in any way we can, which I think is just so wonderful. So I think the first kind of really big value that kind of really resonated with me, and I think is so central to what Corey does, is that community focus. Anything that we do, like whatever programs we're putting in place, adapting, evolving, we're always listening to the community, what's working for them, what's not working for them, what do they need that they're not getting currently, and really trying to make sure that we are able to build that bridge for them in whatever way we can. So that's something that I think is very integral to kind of Corey's ethos, and I think is wonderful. The second piece of that is integration. If someone's looking for help, they're not looking for help for just one thing at one time. People have overlapping needs, and it's difficult if you have to take out time and energy and resources to go to 5 different places for help with 5 different things. And our mantra has always been, how can we make sure everyone gets the support that they need as effectively and efficiently as possible, right? Because that's community focused, that's going to be what's easiest for them. So we are all about having an integrated service model. That's part of why we have so many different programs, workforce, social services assistance, literacy programs, health equity, you name it, we've got it. And we have within that internally a really great inter-program referral system, so that if you come with us for help with one thing, as we're having conversations with you, will realize there are so many other things that we can help support you with, and we make sure that our staff are kind of coordinating with anyone who walks in and making sure that they get all the support they need, getting signed up or referred to any resources that can actually help them improve their lives. And the third thing that is really central to the way that Corey operates is collaboration. We are born out of the collaborative spirit of so many wonderful community agencies and leaders here in Quincy. And even as we continue to do that work and we continue to grow, we know that collaboration is key to driving our work and bringing increasing access to resources for the community. So we are really lucky and really grateful to continue to have really strong partnerships with so many wonderful agencies, community organizations in the city. And that's just key for us to being able to provide the resources, think about, what can we do next? What's a really fun, a really innovative way in which we can continue to build more bridges to resources for those who need it most.
Of course, and one of the first things that was coming to my mind as you were talking about those values, specifically when we were talking about the community, it sounded as if when people come in, they're not just a number to you guys. You're there to help them based on their specific needs and what they're looking for individually, whether in that moment or in that time that you're there to help them and whatever they need in that moment.
Exactly. Everything we do is designed with the community in mind. That's a big part of, for example, like as an immigrant serving nonprofit, why having bilingual access to programs is so important to us. All of our staff members are from the communities that we serve. They all speak another language, be it Mandarin, Cantonese, Vietnamese. We have, especially in our other offices, we have Spanish and Portuguese speaking staff, Hindi, Pashto. So we may want to make sure that we're representing the communities that we're in and that we're serving, so that no matter what language you're comfortable with, no matter kind of where you're from, when you come to our office, you see a friendly face and feel like there is an empathetic ear there for you.
Definitely, yeah. No, that's great. And going off when you said you have a lot of bilingual speakers in your office, the planning department as well as Corey, we work on together with the communication access plan to find interpreters and translate documents throughout the city as well. And if anybody is listening to this and happens to need any sort of translation or interpretation, can definitely feel free to call the planning department, or you can call Damien, which is in one of our previous episodes from last year, with his contact information in there as well.
Can I plug something?
Of course.
So with the partnership, we also, for the last few years, we've been launching the training cohorts for people in the city. From Quincy, they are bilingual and they want to be trained and certified. And because with the city support is free tuition, and then they being trained in terms of how to be a community translator and interpreter. And then it's creating the ecosystem and sustainability that giving back to the community. So I love the program that the city and UK and help support it. And we're launching again this year. So we have 2 cohorts coming up. If someone is bilingual, Chinese, Vietnamese, I think Spanish and Portuguese speaking, find Kate, find Damien, find Corey. Yes.
Let us know.
Yes.
Maybe you could become a community translator in the future.
Yes.
Of course. So I've been hearing you guys talk about how you like to collaborate and work with the different city public service agencies that we have here in Quincy. What are some that you guys work with, and how do you work with them, or
Sure.
how do you use them in the city?
So first of all, we have a lot of great volunteers and supporters and board representations. Me myself also on the board at Social YMCA and Quincy College. So it's an honor to serve the organization, the board, and the members. Work very closely with many local Quincy organizations. First, I have to give the accolade to QCAP, the Community Action Program. So back then, being such a supporter, even before my time, and our first office was right inside QCAP for many years. And we have classrooms, we have, I think more importantly is we have compassion from the QCAP team and the board and staff to support such a very small organization at the time to start. With the infancy, eventually we evolve. So QCAP been a long time collaborator. We work very closely with Social YMCA. With their Germantown food pantry. We work very closely with Quincy Housing Authorities. We provide satellite services. We bring what Resica mentioned about the very high touch immigrant focused services to where they are, either at the public housing, either at the food pantry while they're waiting for the weekly food pickup. We also have different presence at the Social YMCA for different workshops, promotions. Of course, we work very closely with Quincy Public Schools, our youth program, the mentoring program, the arts therapy program that we've been running very successfully. We also currently working with Quincy College with the workforce training program, with the hospitality management program. We just launched, kick off the first cohort yesterday. So very, very excited. It will be having a hands-on experience, and then eventually when the students complete successfully, and they will be placed for jobs opportunities that will give them the supervision or management opportunity pathway. So who else do we collaborate? We collaborate with many people I know.
Yeah, you guys are all over Quincy.
Yes.
It's great.
The city. We collaborate with you,
Yes.
Kate. We collaborate with Damien. We actually talked about that. Damien and I, we talked about we want some diabetes prevention program in the Quincy areas. So Corey is CDC certified DPP. I think it's called Diabetes Prevention Program certified by CDC. Tam told me that, so I could say that. I just have a call with the professor that we work at Boston College. So we want to bring these training program with the language and cultural competency to the local community. It doesn't have to be only Chinese speaking. It doesn't have to be only Spanish speaking. It could be English speaking, because we're not only serving Asian, we serve all immigrants and locals too. So those are the things that we want to continue to do. But for the new year, I just want to be grounded and feel that the gratefulness in terms of all the support. It's really, Quincy just give me such a family home feelings. It's nice. It's nice to have. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
I know when you're surrounded with so many great agencies and people who are just willing to help the community thrive and survive, and everyone inside it, it's like a big family here. Especially, I know, coming into my role, just graduating college, and I was just unfamiliar to not only, I guess, the real world and becoming an adult. and figuring out my path and who I am after school, asking different questions and being curious. Everyone is just so open to giving help and just lending a helping hand.
Because you don't see it in, I might be wrong, but you don't see it in too many U.S. cities in terms of like city. Quincy is small enough, but quite pretty big, over 110,000 population. But they know each other.
Yes. Yes.
They come back.
Yeah.
The generations come back. Like those are things that you don't really see in Boston area because it's such
Yeah.
a metropolitan city.
Yeah.
But Quincy is quite big. It's big. Like besides population, the size wise, pretty big.
Yeah.
If you drive around,
Of
right,
course.
from Blue Hills to Milton to Randolph, you touch upon all these areas. And then when you're driving around, it's like, wow, Quincy's big.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
huge. So
It is big, but then
Yeah.
like you said, I feel like I turn to
Yeah.
one side and I'm like, oh, I know you
Yes.
from this last event I was at. And then, it's either you know someone or it's you have a mutual connection
Yes.
in mind too, which is really great.
Yes.
When you're just meeting everyone in the city.
yes, because in Boston, I think people in Boston, I mean, you can share your New York experience, Jessica. But Boston people have a reputation that you kind of like you don't talk to people.
Yeah.
But in Quincy,
Yeah.
it's not like you kind of like you have to be nice because people know you.
Of course, yeah, yeah. Whether it's they know you,
Or someone
and you work
knows
at a
you.
restaurant,
Yes,
or maybe
yes.
you work at a store, and
Yeah,
of course,
so
of
that's
course,
good.
yeah. And how you feel? The people, have they been welcoming to you moving from New York to Boston, or
They have been. It's honestly been really wonderful because in some ways it feels like it's new, but it also feels so familiar at the same time. And you're right, Philip. Kind of, I've lived in New York. I'm a big city girl. I'm used to everyone. You've got your earphones in. You're on the
Yeah.
subway. You've got to go from A to B, and you don't really care what's happening around you. It's not necessarily like that here. I mean, of course, people are busy. They're doing really great, important work, but they've always got a second to kind of stop and say hi and say, how are you doing? How's your family doing? And I think that's really wonderful. And just having that culture where people will take a second or 2 seconds out just to kind of really connect with you on a human level, I think makes all the difference.
yeah. It's so funny. I always joke too with both of my parents and my grandparents, my parents' they all grew up here as well. So we're a real Quincy-based family, but we always have to leave anywhere, like plan 20 minutes in advance, because as we're walking out, either my mom, my dad, and my sister sees 3 people they know. And it's like, how are you, catching up, talking to them. And so it's like, an hour goes by, or, an hour and a half goes by, and you're just catching up with people. So it's always like you need to leave like 20 minutes before you actually need to leave,
It's
just
so
in case you
funny.
run into someone or something. And
That sounds like a very good feel-good sitcom. I would watch the Quincy-based feel-good
right?
sitcom.
I
Yeah,
would too.
yeah.
Maybe we should start one.
We should definitely check. Another plug is check out the Quincy 300 exhibit.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I learned so much last night. So if you haven't stopped by and see all the great work that they did, check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, and Quincy 400 is coming up as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
That's a big celebration too.
Yes.
So definitely Quincy has a lot of events coming up, a lot of exciting things
Yeah.
that you can check out here around the city. But as you're going around and talking to not only the people that come into your office, but maybe just the different agencies and community partners that you work with, what are some needs that you see not only within Corey maybe, but just in the community?
Okay. So for the last 6-7 years since I joined Corey, I think one of major reason that got us expand outside Quincy is our workforce initiatives. So it's quite ironic because you never really heard that a local community organization going outside the community, and then most of the time people might say, oh yeah, you should go to Boston, right? But instead of go to Boston, we went to New York, right? So
Yeah.
and Resica is even interesting, is like usually you relocate someone to New York. You don't relocate a New Yorker
Right.
to come to say you need to come check out Quincy.
Yeah.
Right. So I love that. I take the pride in terms of we Quincy is like kicking butt. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So workforce really help us to grow, and the serendipity was our first signature workforce partner, Brooks Brothers. At the time, they had before pandemic, they have a major manufacturing site in Massachusetts, outside of Quincy. And then they were looking for Asian sewing workers for their high demand of high-end suits. And that was before pandemic. And the HR on Madison Avenue in New York were Googling. There's like, where has the largest Asian population in Massachusetts? They put Quincy Asian. Our name came up. So it was literally a cold call. And at first, when they reached out to me, I was like, Brooks Brothers, I'm not buying anything. I'm nonprofit, right? So they invited me to see the site. And I was fascinated. I saw close to 1,000 immigrant workforce working at the very nice site every day. But what they're lacking is all these like social well-being services. So I had the honor to meet with the former owner, and I pitched the idea to creating the workforce utopia, the immigrant workforce utopia at workplace. Pretty much bring Corey at the workplace, building a community-based organization at the work site that workforce, they don't have to leave work and they can access ESOL, learning English, citizenship. We actually have Zumba class at the factory. So all these like very creative, kind of movie-like stuff that happening. And so he loved the idea. He said, yes, of course. Of course, we would love to have Corey to create a community center at the factory. Then I said, and at the time they had a factory in New York City. And I said, I had a condition. I also want to serve your people in New York. That's how a local Quincy agency went to New York 7 years ago. And that's kind of like, you know, that's why we have Resica, right? But why workforce is important is it's all about going back to the values of agency. We all about efficacy. And when we talk about efficacy for not just immigrants, for individuals, is when someone in different areas, in terms of job, in terms of finding a doctor, in terms of finding home, when you have one more options, you are empowered because you can choose.
Yeah.
When you can choose, you're being empowered. And that's what we believe in terms of advocacy, especially for underserved community, because many times they feel like they cannot choose. They don't have options. So for example, at the workplace, at the manufacturing site, if we can, because of our presence, because of our relationships and building that trust, that if they want to learn what the other employment opportunities besides clothing manufacturing, we can say, hey, here's a healthcare, what's it gonna look like? Here's a hospitality gonna look like. Here's tech gonna look like. And here's these training programs that you can sign up for free. Those are the empowerment and efficacy we're doing at the workplace. So that's why we are launching the hospitality management with QC. That's people with different backgrounds, or they are in different levels in hospitality. They can be trained and they can learn and they can grow from there. The other thing that we are working on is health equity.
Can I jump in before
Of
that?
course.
Another plug
Yes.
for, and you know, like Philip said, that's what's been so important to us is, you know, making sure people have just one more pathway that they could choose to access another, you know, option that they can leverage for, you know, a better life for themselves and their family. And bringing that back to Quincy now and seeing what we can help grow has been super important. The program with Quincy College that we're doing, this hospitality management certificate, is one that we're really, really excited by. Another thing that has been really wonderful to work with over the last year is we've been working with FC Tech on their clean energy workforce program. We have a partnership with them, and they have a fantastic set of technical programs to navigate a bunch of clean energy and climate ready workforce jobs. And as you know, here in Massachusetts, there's so much attention being paid now to climate change and what that's going to do to us as a community, but also as those challenges arise, there's opportunities for people because we, you know, as we think about ways to tackle them. So there's a lot of interest in that, and FC Tech has these amazing programs, and we've been working with them over the past year to help increase access to their programs. And so, you know, we're not just kind of going out and spreading the word, but if we have people who are interested in these programs, again, who are ready and willing to do the training, but maybe need a little extra help with the English component of it, or like learning the right vocabulary to be able to navigate the training program on this courses successfully, or they want to take the program, but it's also really helpful at the time to be able to figure out SNAP or other social services so that they can stay in the program and continue to complete it and then be successful after. That's our model. That's what we've been doing, and we're really excited to kind of grow that
We do
up.
lots of environmental
Yeah.
focus programs. Do you want to talk about health equity?
I can talk about health
Yes,
equity. That's
yes.
something that I'm a public health graduate. So that's very
Me as
important.
well.
You too?
Yeah, public
So
health.
important.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah,
Oh.
It's always right. The public health girlies know what's up.
they definitely do.
Yeah, but that's again that's such a whole thing for us as well, because as we've been working in Quincy and beyond, working with these communities over the last couple of years, especially kind of as when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and kind of coming out from that, one of the things we've seen and we've been very cognizant of for the last several years is that the communities that we work with face very specific health disparities or barriers to accessing healthcare that is responsive to their cultures, their specific needs, their and we need more programs that are really tailored to reaching immigrant communities and setting them up to improve their health and improve their lives in a way that's actually meaningful to them. And that's something that we've been really working on over the last couple of years. One of the things, as Philip mentioned, with our CDC award is we've been working on this community clinical academic partnership with wonderful folks up at Joslin Diabetes Center, with EACH, with Professor Tam Nguyen from Boston College, and we've really worked on adapting this CDC accredited National Diabetes Prevention Program curriculum and making that accessible to Mandarin and Cantonese speaking communities here in the kind of greater Boston area. And we're very excited. Our first cohort is actually graduating in this next week or so. So it's been a year-long program for them where they've really built a community with each other and gotten really dedicated training on how to adapt their lifestyle, how to build a better behavior. Change takes time. It takes time to say, I want to change this one habit and I want to do it effectively and really stick at it in a way that really improves my health. And they get all of that kind of support there and education around how do you read a nutrition label, what are some easy ways that you can build in physical activity into your daily routine, what's a good way to kind of make sure that you're eating a balanced meal that's not very high in sugar but still delicious and enjoyable. And so that's something that they've been really working on, and it's been wonderful to see them come together and just not just kind of see over the year real health improvements, but also just physical health, but also emotional health. The participants we've had in the class have just really enjoyed coming, have really enjoyed kind of being on this journey together with each other, and that's been really heartening to see. And that's something we're really excited to keep growing and expanding. We see that as a big need because, as you know, a lot of our communities, especially Asian communities, are at higher risk for diabetes, and you need these kind of linguistically and culturally tailored programs that take into consideration that an Asian diet might look different, that people are just used to eating a different set of vegetables or a different mix-up of protein, or have different cultural ideas around what kind of exercise they're willing to do, or things like that you have to think about when you're really trying to develop a health intervention. And so that's something that we've been really thrilled to work on for the last year, and I have really excited to see has been successful. And that's something that we're looking to grow in the next coming years.
The first cohort, is it in South Cove, right?
Yes. So
Yes.
our Boston cohort here is with the South Cove Community Health Center. They have
Yes.
been fantastic partners.
Yeah.
It's been really wonderful to work and learn with them over this past year, and we're excited to keep going. And another thing on the health field, another thing that we've seen in the last couple of years is the need to have more kind of culturally and linguistically competent mental health care. Because, as you know, there is a lot of stigma still around mental health. A lot of people are not often willing to talk about these things. They can be difficult, they can be touchy, and also the national data shows that, for example, Asians are much less likely to seek support from a therapist, even if they are experiencing mental health symptoms at the same rate as kind of other racial ethnic groups. So we are really committed to breaking down those barriers and helping the community realize, or rather just making it easier for people to access, because sometimes you don't need clinical support, but it's just nice to have the option to talk to someone else about what's been bothering you lately and have a safe space to figure out what tools you can build, whether it's kind of learning how to manage your stress better or thinking about what are some techniques I can do to just make everything seem more manageable on a day-to-day basis, right? So one thing we have been really proud to do over the last couple of years, and Philip can definitely say a lot more, is this entire continuum of care with our mental health programs. So we have our non-clinical programs where we have really trained community members who are not clinical staff, who you can just come and speak to in structured sessions around, you know, what's been stressing you out on a day-to-day activity, you know, just in your day-to-day life, and figure out how you can navigate those smaller challenges. But we also provide clinical mental health services, and of course they're all bilingual as well, so that, you know, just because you have difficulty, you know, or rather I should say, having, you know, not speaking English should not stop you from being able to access quality healthcare, whether that's physical healthcare or mental healthcare.
Definitely. Wow, you guys are a one-stop shop for anything that, you know, someone may need, whether it's from classes to mental health counseling to diabetes. That is awesome. That's so impressive. And something that you learn something new every day. I had no idea that, you know, all the services range from all that. That's so impressive. That's awesome. Wow.
It certainly gets funny because one of the things that sometimes gets a little funny for us is just trying to tell people how much we actually do.
Right.
Like, oh, is that what you're looking for? Oh, we do that. We have that. You should come to Kauai.
Yeah. No, definitely. And it's great though, because if someone is, like you said, struggling just to access quality healthcare, you guys are able to not only provide it, but to provide it in multiple different languages as well. So really anyone can access it if they are in need of that help. And it's awesome also that you have not only the licensed clinical mental health, but if you're just stressed and you're looking to unload as well, and you also have that portion of it too, like you just mentioned as well. You just need to talk to somebody about what's going on in your life and what's happening, and just release all of that.
Totally.
That's great. Wow. And you also plan events throughout the year as well.
We sure do.
As we mentioned earlier, do you want to talk a little bit about your upcoming Lunar New Year celebration in February and what people can expect?
Have you been to our Lunar New Year festival?
I have.
Yes.
So I have been to Lunar New Year, and I've also been to the August Moon Festival.
Very good.
I believe the August Moon Festival twice. In the Lunar New Year. Last year was my first year.
Very nice.
But they're great, and they have an awesome turnout at both events.
Yes. So for people listening, if you're expecting to join us, so expect going to be a lot of people.
Definitely.
There will be a lot of people. It will be on Sunday, February 16 at North Quincy High School from 11 to 3 p.m. There will be a lot of things happening, but it's a great celebration in terms of our culture. One of the most signature festival that celebrates in the Asian community across the world. This year will be Year of Snake.
That's right.
There are 12 animal zodiac for the Lunar New Year. First one starting with the rats, and the last one is the pig.
The snake is the sixth.
In the middle, something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
So there will be a lot of great performance, food, vendors, sponsors, arts and crafts. What else do we have?
We have live performances. We have, and we're grateful every year to have city officials and the mayor in attendance. It's a wonderful space to kind of really have the community come celebrate. And what we've been really proud of as well is it's really a celebration of Quincy. We have thousands and thousands of people attend, and they're not just from Quincy, but from kind of all of the towns and cities surrounding. So it's really a great time when we do these festivals to kind of have people come and really not just celebrate with the community, but really appreciate Quincy for what it is. So if you guys are free on February the 16th, please come down. The event is free and it is open for all.
And it's definitely a good event and something you should check out if you have time. We are ending with my year. I was the year of the dragon.
Oh, you are?
So, yes.
Me too.
Look at that.
We're same age.
Right? So, I know, on to the year of the snake.
Dragon's trouble.
Yeah.
We're always trouble.
I know. I don't know how to feel about it. I heard a couple things. If it's your year, it's good, but also my coworker, she was the rabbit, and she did not have a good year when it was the year of the rabbit. So
I see.
When it was the dragon, she was like, watch out.
They do have that tradition. The same year you always have that kind of clash, but how was your year last year?
It was good.
It was pretty good to me too.
I don't know what she was talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked it.
We against yacht.
Yes.
So let's do that. Let's do that.
Right. So and wishing everyone who's a snake a good year coming up.
I love the way.
Hopefully you had a good year like us.
Yes.
And so, how long has Corey been hosting this Lunar New Year celebration for?
So this is a 37
Wow.
year anniversary.
Yeah.
But Corey did not start it.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So, Ressica, you want? Oh, let me start it. It's a
I can tell
long.
the story, but it's better when Philip says it.
It's a long story. So it started with local community church. They want to support the newcomers 37 years ago at the parking lot, and then they are. It's a Wismer family. They are also founding board member. Tim Wismer was a former board members, also longtime supporters. So when the agency started in 2001, we were given the honor to continue the hosting. So that's why, even though we are 23, 24 years old, it's a 37 year for the Lunar New Year. For August Moon, I forgot, is it around 36, 37?
38.
30, oh my goodness, 38 year. So it's definitely older than me, just
Yeah.
want to let you know.
Yeah.
So
Don't fact check us on that.
that's how we started it, but looking back, it's just the continuum.
Yeah.
I think now revealing my age is like when you're getting older, when you're younger, like when you hear the elders or your parents talk about tradition, the continuum, you never understand.
Right.
But when you're getting older and looking back, these things is you so appreciate, things that we do. So you're just making the mark, and then it just pass it forward. So
Right.
that tradition is just beautiful.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
and going back to Quincy for a little bit, but talking about tradition, and as a younger kid growing up in Quincy, I was just so used to all the events that was happening that I was just kind of like not bored with it, but I was
Take
just,
it for
this is
granted.
where I live.
Take
yeah,
it for
like,
granted.
this is-
Yes.
But when I had come back from college, and started working with the planning department, I was like, wow, like I'm so grateful, and I didn't realize how
Yes.
much that Quincy had, not only during Christmas time, but Flag Day and all the different cultures that are in Quincy as well, that you can really embrace everything. So looking to tradition, I was just, I kind of had a new awakening to Quincy when I came back.
It's funny that been in Quincy working at this agency for 8 years. I've been I hear myself defending Quincy all the time right now.
Yeah.
I love that. And just it's so amazing because, before I joined, or when I first joined it, I heard people talk about, all these things about Quincy. I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And then eventually I become one of it.
Right.
So, yes.
Right? Who knew? A couple years later, it'd be like,
Moving.
no, Quincy.
I'm moving here.
Quincy's
Moving here. Yes, moving here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And earlier I was asking Raska, and I was like, how is New York different? Like, how are you liking Quincy? Like, you're coming from such a big city. Like, New York, I guess,
Yeah,
is
how?
not really like New York's huge.
What do you think, Wes?
No, I do love it. I always find it very funny because I never think that I'm going to enjoy anything that's not an absolute madness of kind of overwhelming people and noise and rush like
Right.
New York is. But I've loved it. In fact, maybe this time next year, you'll find me kind of right here in the heart of Quincy defending it
Yeah,
maybe harder than
yeah.
Philip does,
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. I see you continuing down that path down the road.
I think so.
Yeah. And so, how do you see this event evolving throughout the years? What maybe, I guess, do you have any ideas for something to add to it or anything like that?
I mean, don't get me wrong, to plan and organize events like Lunar New Year, the banquet, the August Moon, which is a sanctuary event for the city of Quincy, it just it takes a village.
Yeah,
It,
definitely.
it's just lots of very time consuming, lots of people involving with many people, the city, every single department, planning departments, and so it's a lots of work, but at the same time that it's all hands on deck. Everyone just want to give and support. So can we double it?
Yeah.
That's it's in terms of the mind capacity, right? We have lots of people when you saw that, right?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
but from Ressica, what do you think? What can we? Do you want double the size?
Well, I'd say never say never.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. Yes.
Yeah, but for now, having not seen the Lunar New Year event maybe as often as you guys, I am just blown away by the scale of it all and just the sheer variety of things there are to do.
You saw the August moon.
Yeah.
What did
Yeah.
you think?
I thought it was amazing. I had so much fun.
Yeah.
And even though I was working, I'm not just there to have a to have a good day and have a stroll and see everything. I
Yes.
still had such a fantastic time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just excited to have the community really come and enjoy. I'm excited to see all the different performances. One of the things that's so fun as well is, all of our performers are kind of local and regional arts groups and performers, and it's just so fun to see, even the art scene really kind of grow and evolve over the years as the Lunar New Year Festival has grown and evolved, and see these performers kind of come and kind of showcase our culture and celebrate all of these traditions and our heritage in such new and interesting ways. And I always feel like I get to know kind of the new hot and popping restaurants and
Right.
cafes in Quincy when I see them at our events, which is another really fun way that keeps the festival fun and interesting and fresh year on year, but also is such a great way to get to know the city as well, because I feel like everyone really shows up to support and kind of celebrate with each other.
Of course, and I find that when I did go to Lunar New Year for the first time last year, and as I've been going to August Moon Festival, I'm attending the events and I'm also learning new things too. So it's like I'm having, fun time checking out all the vendors and seeing all the dances and different experiences, but I'm also learning as I'm kind of going throughout the day of the event too, which is always, you learn something new every day. So it's super nice too. And just to note, as you mentioned, it takes a village. Once we were at the August Moon Festival, we came early to set up because I believe the city had a table there. And just the amount of tents that you guys had already set up in the beginning, it's like, I have trouble. We table at the Kilroy Square Farmers Market in the summer, and so we have a tent for that. And I can't lift the tent by myself. I need like 4
They're
people
hard. Yeah.
just for one. And when I show up, it's like there's like 30 plus tents, I
Yeah.
want to say. So that's even.
And then with the police, with the fire,
Yeah.
with the DPW, with the mayor office, with the park,
Yeah.
so many traffic. It's just everybody.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely a rewarding experience, though, too,
Yeah.
to see all the smile and not only the
They
kids' faces,
are.
but the residents of Quincy, too.
They are.
Stopping by.
And then whenever, every year when we're doing planning with the city, all department, they're so kind and generous. Like everyone is always like, yes, this is yes we can.
Yeah.
That's a tagline. Yes we can. Yes
Yeah.
we can. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're right. It takes a village, but everyone's willing to help and ready to help too. So,
Yes.
and it's a great event too, to make it.
Thank
what,
you.
30? Did we say 38 or 35?
37 for Lunar New
37.
Year.
37. Wow.
before
yeah.
we came to this podcast, we were just talking about all these like nuances for
Yeah.
the planning. It's just giving me headache. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, right. I know. But I'm excited to attend and see all of your hard work in action.
Keeping the fingers crossed.
Yes.
Yes.
No, it will be great. It will be great. And do you guys have anything else to add? I know we've covered a lot of topics today.
Yes. I love this. I love the environment.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of my time that when I'm growing up, I love to listening podcasts.
Yeah.
We don't call it podcasts, we call it radio.
Yeah.
We call it radio.
Yes.
My generation, we call
Right.
it radio. Love the radio show. And thank you, Kate, to
No problem.
taking it's kind of serendipity too, from you telling us the story that how you started this whole podcast.
Right.
Bringing me here, giving me my time to speak to you and then speak to the people in the city. Thank you. And thank you, Resica, to joining us too. I love this. Thank you for the experience.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thank you guys for taking some time to talk with me today about Corey and the Lunar New Year event. And one last final welcome to Boston.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, anybody who's listening to this right now, I will put in some information for you to get in contact with Corey. As always, if you have any questions for myself or anyone in the Office of Healthy Homes, you can reach me at 617-376-1055, or I will put my email in the blurb below. Just a couple updates from the Office of Healthy Homes. We are attending the National Community Development Association conference in Washington, which is going to be February 5th through the 7th. and myself and my fellow colleague Jane, we're also going to be speaking down there as well. So stay tuned to hear how that goes. And be sure to stop by the Lunar New Year celebration February 16th at North Quincy High School.
Yes.
Other than that, thanks for stopping on by. Hopefully we'll hear from you again on this podcast too in the coming months.
Well, now that we know this is here, you won't be able to keep us away.
Right?
We're just going to be standing outside every week.
Yeah, knocking on the door. Well, have a good rest of your day, your night, whenever you're listening to this podcast. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. And bye.